Somebody already decided exactly what you're going to buy today. You just haven't noticed it yet. And that's the whole point. It's hiding inside the one option nobody's ever supposed to pick. Let's take a closer look. You're booking a flight for a family trip. 3 fares pop up. Basic economy, no seat pick, no bag, board last, $99. Main cabin, pick your seat, 1 bag, $119. Then a third one, main cabin flexible, $189, refundable, extra miles you'll never use. You look at basic, cheapest. But something in your gut says no. You'll get stuck in a middle seat next to a crying toddler for $100 less. So you scroll down. Main cabin, $119, suddenly looks reasonable, almost generous. Compared to the flexible fare, it's the smart choice. Compared to basic, it's just $20 more for your dignity. You click it. You feel good about it. Here's the part nobody tells you. American Airlines has publicly disclosed that the average upsell from basic to main cabin runs right around $23, sometimes as low as $20, sometimes, if you book late, as high as $40. That's not a coincidence. That's a number somebody in a pricing department calculated down to the dollar, specifically so you'd feel like upgrading was your idea. You didn't pick that seat. The screen picked it for you the moment somebody decided exactly what basic economy was going to be missing. So today, we're opening up that pricing screen. And we're looking at exactly how they get you to pay more and walk away thinking it was your decision the whole time. Back in 1982, 2 researchers at Duke, Joel Huber and John Payne, working with Christopher Puto, ran an experiment. Pricing departments have been quietly weaponizing it ever since. They gave people a choice between 2 restaurants. One was a 5-star place, 25 minutes away. The other was a 3-star place, 5 minutes away. Equally good trade-offs, quality for convenience, either direction. People split roughly down the middle. Then the researchers added a 3rd restaurant, 4 stars, 35 minutes away. Worse than the 5-star option on every single measure. Nobody was ever going to choose it. But once it showed up on the list, something strange happened. People stopped splitting evenly. They flooded toward the 5-star restaurant, the one the new option most resembled and most clearly beat. That's the decoy effect, or what researchers call asymmetric dominance. Add an option that's obviously worse than one choice and only sort of worse than another. You don't just fail to sell the decoy, you make one of the other 2 look like the clear winner. Airlines figured this out. So did streaming services. So did the guy selling you a mattress. The decoy was never for sale. It's the crowbar. And this is where it gets interesting. Here's the uncomfortable truth about the 3 pounds of tissue between your ears. It's terrible at judging what anything is actually worth in isolation. Hand someone a suitcase and ask them to guess its weight. They'll usually get it wrong by a mile. There's no built-in scale in your hands. But hand them a much heavier suitcase first, then the original one right after, and suddenly it feels light. Nothing about the suitcase changed. Only what sat next to it a second earlier. That's your whole pricing brain in one motion. What we have instead of an internal price tag is a comparison engine. We look at the thing sitting next to it and measure the gap. That's not a flaw you can fix with willpower. It's how human judgment works, and pricing teams have built entire departments around exploiting it. There's a second, quieter version of this trick. Sharper than the decoy in some ways. Researcher Simonson called it the compromise effect back in 1989. Instead of adding a bad option to push you toward the expensive one, you add a bad option on the cheap end. Suddenly, the middle price looks like the responsible, moderate, adult choice. Nobody wants to look cheap. Nobody wants to look reckless. So everybody picks the middle. which, funny enough, is usually the tier with the best margin for the seller. Somewhere, a pricing analyst is very proud of you. Stay with me, because this next number changes everything. 2 different traps, 1 engine underneath, both. Loss aversion. We're less afraid of paying too much than we are of watching someone else get a better deal than us. You've seen this before. You just didn't know what you were looking at. Open a streaming services pricing page. Basic, with ads, at $7. That feels cheap, but it nags you with commercials. Standard, no ads, at $18. Premium, 4 screens, and a better picture, at $25. Basic starts to feel like a punishment. Standard starts to feel like the bare minimum a reasonable adult should pay for. You upgrade. You feel fine about it. Open a wireless phone plan page. Unlimited Basic, Unlimited Plus, Unlimited Premium. Same 3-tier ladder. Every time. The cheap tier always throttles your data at exactly the point a normal month uses it up. Funny how that works. The middle tier magically doesn't. That's not an accident. Someone tested that ladder against thousands of customers before you ever saw it. Now here's the number that should actually worry you. Researchers at C+R Research asked Americans to estimate their own monthly subscription spending. The average guess was $86. Then they had people go line by line through their actual bank statements. The real number, $219 a month. 2.5 times higher. That's not a rounding error. That's an entire second bill you didn't know you'd signed up for. That gap isn't forgetfulness. It's the decoy and the compromise effect, stacked tier after tier, subscription after subscription, quietly moving your number up a rung at a time. You're not bad with money. You're being handled by people who spent years studying exactly how you decide. Now here's where most people stop paying attention and start losing money. Run that $219 forward, and it stops being annoying and starts being serious. That's $2,600 a year. Left alone in an index fund for 20 years, at a typical historical market return, that's not a subscription bill anymore. That's a down payment, a semester of tuition, 3 years of car payments. Gone, one comfortable middle-tier click at a time. And that's just subscriptions. Add every upgraded flight, every added trim level, every better value per unit purchase you didn't actually need the full size of. The decoy effect stops being a cute psychology fact. It's a slow, steady leak in the boat. Most people never look down long enough to see the water rising. This is the part they leave out of the brochure. None of this stops just because you're smart. It stops because you build 3 small habits. First, name it. The second, you spot a suspiciously bad option sitting next to 2 better ones. Say it, even just in your head. There's the fall guy. Manipulation needs to stay invisible to work. The moment you name it out loud, you've broken the spell. Second, decide your number before you ever look at the menu. Before the airline site loads, before the streaming page opens, before you walk into that mattress showroom we joked about earlier. Know what you're willing to spend. Hold that line like you've already spent it. The tiers are built to move your number. Don't let them move it. Third, kill the per unit trap. Better value per gigabyte means nothing if you never touch the extra gigabytes. A great deal on space you don't use isn't a deal. It's just a bigger bill with better math attached to it. Go back to that airline booking screen from the top of this video. 3 fares, one obviously stripped down, one that suddenly looks generous by comparison. Now you know exactly why it's built that way. And now, when you see it, you'll know whose decision you're actually making. The math doesn't lie. The marketing does. The pricing department did their homework. Maybe it's time you did too. I'm Warren Bucket, and this has been Invest with Warren Bucket. Remember, folks, the house never loses at 3-card Monte, and neither does the person who built your pricing page. Difference is, now you know exactly which card to watch.